Have you ever been hurt by someone's words that felt like a knife cutting into your heart? I'm not talking about loud curses, but looks of contempt, words that seemed unintentional, but were enough to make your heart ache, and your self-respect feel trampled. In that moment, your heart pounds, your throat tightens, your mind goes blank. You want to fight back, you want to run away, but in the end, you just stand there, helpless and humiliated. When you're in a crowd, you just wish you could disappear to escape the shame. When you're alone, you just want to scream to drive away the bitterness, but no one is listening. The Stoics taught that the wise do not argue in a crowd. The strong do not need sharp words. Truly wise people don't let emotions guide them, nor do they swallow their anger in silent endurance. Instead, they know how to remain calm, turn their hurt into strength, and make the insulter bow their head in shame. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, often reminded himself in his writings to be like the rock that the waves keep crashing against, standing firm and unmoving. Sometimes, just a minute of silence, a calm smile, can completely change the situation. After each conflict, you will understand that it's not the other person's words that hurt you, but how you let them linger in your heart. When you maintain a peaceful mind, malicious words fall away like dry leaves, unable to harm the tree's roots. Silence is golden, especially when you are being insulted. There are times when silence is an invisible strength that not everyone can master. When insulted, a person's instinct is to react immediately, to say something sharp to defend themselves, even to strike back so the other person feels the pain they just inflicted. But it is in that very moment that if you let out an emotional outburst, you risk losing your own image, and sometimes you unintentionally fall into the trap the insulter has set. As the Stoics taught, true strength is not in a louder shout, nor in sharper words, but in the ability to keep your mind calm amidst the storm. But in today's society, where everyone can easily speak up on social media, where an insult can spread in just a few seconds, silence at the right time becomes the most effective weapon to protect your self-worth. Arguing with what is low only drags us deeper into a quagmire of meaningless arguments, where no one truly wins. A wise person understands that sometimes the best response is no response. That silence is not weakness, it is a silent declaration: I will not lower myself to the same level as what is low. When you are silent, you maintain your dignity, preserve your inner freedom, and make the insulter realize that their noise cannot shake you. But amidst the noise of this era, where more people choose to speak than to understand, silence at the right time is the way to preserve your humanity in a world that so easily loses its essence. The taller the tree, the more the wind sways it. The more capable a person is, the more likely they are to be envied. Life is full of incomprehensible paradoxes. You strive to live a decent life, you try to do good, you are sincere with everyone, and yet there are still people who envy you, speak ill of you, or even try to bring you down. The painful truth is that talent and virtue are not always met with respect, but sometimes they are a thorn in someone else's side. Envy does not come from your mistakes, but from the insecurity, pettiness, and darkness within another person's heart. But today, with social media, rumors and attacks can spread faster than any truth. Being slandered or isolated sometimes doesn't need a valid reason. But remember, it's a sign that you are on the right path. Because no one bothers to throw stones at a meaningless rock on the side of the road. They only throw stones at what is shining, outstanding, and noteworthy. As the Stoics believed, a person's worth is not known without enduring trials. Don't waste your energy trying to explain or argue, because time will be the clearest proof of your character and talent. Continue on your chosen path, keep your heart bright, and do what is right, so that in time, justice will be served. Like a tall tree, even if the wind sways it, it still reaches for the sky, holding its head high and casting its green shadow. And no gust of wind is strong enough to topple its firm roots. The sweetest revenge is success. When you are insulted or put down, anger flares up inside you, urging you to retaliate to teach them a lesson. But if you respond in the same way they treat you, you are only lowering yourself to their level. The Stoics reminded us to use success as our voice, not anger as our weapon. The most beautiful revenge is to remain silent and move forward, staying steadfast and brilliant. So that one day, your very success will silence those who once hurt you, and perhaps even make them bow their heads. Today's society is full of gossip and jealousy, but also full of opportunities for those who are resilient and persistent. Don't stop to answer every bitter word. Don't waste your years proving every single truth. Instead, use that time to hone yourself, like iron being forged into gold. So that one day, you no longer have to justify your worth, because your own light will be the most powerful answer. Your success needs no words. It will automatically silence those who insulted you. It will make them realize they no longer have the right to touch you. And at that moment, the sweetest victory is not in retaliation, but in the fact that you have risen higher than all the filthy words, living a life of value and freedom. Staying calm is the weapon of a resilient person. In life, when insulted, many people's natural reaction is to get angry and retaliate immediately to protect themselves. But truly resilient people are not like that. They understand that a hasty word can ruin a relationship, a rash action can lead to a lifetime of regret. Therefore, they choose to remain calm. Being calm does not mean swallowing anger or suppressing emotions, but is the ability to control oneself amidst the storm of insults and hurt. The Roman Stoic Seneca said that, "True greatness is to have the frailty of a human, and the security of a god." To maintain such tranquility is a form of wisdom, a kind of resilience not everyone can achieve. In modern society, where every conflict can spread rapidly on social media, a rash word can make you the center of criticism. In that case, calmness is a shield that protects your honor and image. A wise person does not let emotions take control, nor do they let others easily manipulate them with a few provocations. Because if you let anger take over, you have already lost the battle with yourself. Staying calm not only helps you stand firm against the storm, but also creates a gravity that makes the opponent wary. Your silence and composure are a declaration that you are strong enough not to need to respond, and wise enough not to lower yourself to what is petty. Take one step back, and you can advance 1,000 miles. In life, there are times when winning or losing an argument brings no value. What's important is to win the journey of a lifetime. A wise person understands that taking a step back is not cowardice, but the choice of someone who sees the bigger picture, someone who knows how to dedicate their energy and time to what is truly worthwhile. As a core Stoic principle taught by Epictetus, we must concern ourselves with what is within our control, and not waste our energy on what is not. When you are willing to take a step back, you are opening up space to avoid conflict, to find peace, and to allow new opportunities to draw closer. But today, in a world where everyone wants to assert themselves, to be right, and to have the last word, a person who dares to step back becomes a truly valuable individual. Sometimes, your humility helps to diffuse a conflict, preserve a relationship, and keep your own heart from being stained by hatred. Endure to maintain harmony, retreat to advance further. That is the wisdom of someone who sees the bigger picture. Winning an argument is sometimes just a momentary victory. But winning by living a peaceful, free, and happy life is the greatest victory of all. Words have no bones, but they can break a person's heart. Each of us has, more or less, been hurt by someone else's words. Some things people say unintentionally leave a scar in the listener's heart that never heals. Words released are like an arrow shot. They cannot be recalled. The pain caused by a physical blow may pass, but the wound from sharp words can haunt a person for a lifetime. The Stoics taught that we have a choice in how we react to words. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." A wise person knows that they can guard their words, for they understand that a single sentence can save a person's life, or it can destroy it. In today's society, where everyone wants to speak up and express their opinion, we are more likely to unintentionally hurt each other with thoughtless words. Malicious online comments, words that stab directly at someone's self-esteem, seem like a few insignificant characters but can push a person into despair. Therefore, knowing how to guard your words, knowing how to think before you speak, is the clearest manifestation of kindness and maturity. A trustworthy person is not one who talks a lot, but one who says what needs to be said and does not break other people's hearts. Learning to use words to uplift and heal, rather than to hurt, is the way to live a life without shame to yourself and to those around you. A skillful, magnanimous word not only preserves our own peace of mind but also creates good karma, making the insulter gradually realize their mistake and no longer want to do harm. Live in a way that even those who hate you must respect you. In life, no one can make everyone love them. There will always be people who hate you, not because you did something wrong, but simply because you are different from them or you make them feel inferior. But there is a way of life that makes it impossible for even those who hate you to insult you, and that is to live by principles, upholding your morals and character. The ancients once said, "Reputation can be built with words, but respect only comes from virtue." A person who lives with integrity, consistently, does not chase popular opinion and does not lose themselves for the sake of being liked. The truth is, in today's society, where rumors and jealousy spread more easily than truth, staying true to yourself is the hardest thing to do, but it is also the way to build the most lasting strength. Haters can slander you and try every possible way to hurt you. But when you live right, when you stand firm on a foundation of morals and righteousness, they will have to respect you, even if they don't want to. Because true character cannot be erased by other people's words. As time passes and all the noise fades, what remains is your character and your integrity. It is that which will make even those who hate you have no choice but to bow their heads in acknowledgement. My dear friend, these three things are the teachings of the ancients for you to turn the tables when you are insulted. Be silent to avoid lowering yourself. Use words to heal instead of to hurt. And live with integrity to build a sturdy wall of honor for yourself. In a world full of chaos and quick judgments, only those who maintain their wisdom and character will truly win in the long run. The wise take revenge with timely kindness. In life, there are insults that make our hearts ache as if pierced by a knife. There are injustices that, no matter how hard we try to justify ourselves, we cannot clarify. That pain makes us want to retaliate, to make the other person experience the feeling we've endured. But a wise person understands that revenge with hatred only traps you forever in a vicious cycle of suffering. They choose another way, a nobler way, to repay with timely and appropriate kindness. The power of kindness is not weakness, it is the strength of a great soul, of far-sighted wisdom. When you face the person who insulted you with a forgiving heart, that very kindness becomes a mirror for them to see the pettiness and narrow-mindedness within themselves. That is the revenge that makes the other person bow their head without a single raised voice. But in today's society, where hatred can easily flare up with just a few online comments or malicious rumors, it's easy for people to fall into an endless cycle of resentful retaliation. But a resilient person understands that what helps them rise above is not making the other person hurt more, but making themselves nobler, purer, and freer. Timely kindness not only makes the opponent feel ashamed but also frees your own soul from the burden of resentment. And sometimes, just one kind act, one forgiving word, is enough to turn an old grudge into a profound lesson for both sides. Sow the wind, reap the whirlwind. Life follows an unchanging law. Every action and word we sow today will return to us someday, sooner or later. Some people think they can use venomous words and heartless actions to step on others and climb higher, and they think victory is permanent. But karma never misses anyone. It might come late, but when it does, it brings the most profound and just retribution. This is a reminder that evil may win in a moment, but it cannot win for a lifetime. Today, in a fiercely competitive society, people sometimes choose to hurt others to get what they want. However, no one can escape the law of, what you sow is what you reap. Truth does not need to be defended with arguments, it only needs time. When you are insulted, instead of seeking revenge, let the law of karma speak. Because the one who sows the wind today will surely reap the whirlwind tomorrow. And the greatest comfort for those who have been hurt is to trust in the fairness of the universe, to believe that good will ultimately prevail. People's words have no edge, but they hurt like a knife. People can overcome poverty, they can endure hunger, but not everyone can overcome the invisible knives called malicious words. A single bitter comment can destroy self-confidence built over many years. It can push a fragile soul into the abyss of despair. The words of others don't hold a knife, but they can kill a person's dreams, hopes, and beliefs with just a few syllables. A wound from a physical blow will eventually heal, but a wound from a malicious word can stay with a person for a lifetime, with no medicine to cure it. But in modern society, with social media spreading every word faster than light, people's words have become even more dangerous. Many people choose to use bitter words to gloat, to prove they are better than others, without caring about the consequences they leave behind. And those who are feeling weak, who are going through a crisis, can easily become victims of these poisonous words. Therefore, learn to use words to nurture people's hearts, to soothe instead of to hurt. A wise person understands that every kind word can save a soul. Every benevolent word can uplift a life. Living with kindness, even in your words, is not only a way to preserve your own character but also a way to save more people than you might think. Sow seeds of warmth into the world so that people's words become less bitter and this world becomes less painful. The angrier you get, the more you lose. Anger is like a fierce fire. Once it erupts, it first burns the very person holding it in their heart. The pain of being looked down upon, of having your self-esteem hurt, makes your heart pound and your head get hot. You just want to lash out with a strong response to protect yourself. But it is in that very moment that a rash action or an excessive word can make you lose your image, breaking what you have worked so hard to build for so long. The Stoics taught that anger is the wind that extinguishes the lamp of wisdom. When you are angry, reason is clouded, words easily become sharp, and actions easily become mistakes. A resilient person is not someone who has never been angry, but someone who knows how to control it. They remain sober before emotions take over. They understand that the insulter sometimes only wants to test our resolve and inner strength. If we lose control, we have easily handed that person a victory. In today's society, where conflicts can spread rapidly on social media, a hot-tempered word can destroy your reputation and cause irreversible consequences. Keeping a cool head when anger flares up is a difficult but valuable art. A person who can do that is truly strong, because they don't allow others to control their emotions and their life with just a few insults. Calmness is the authority of the strong. Not everyone knows when to be silent, especially when being insulted or attacked with bitter words. But in a society where noise drowns out the voice of the heart, the person who can remain calm is not weak, but possesses deep inner strength. Calmness is not giving up or being submissive. It is choosing a higher path so as not to be dragged into the emotional mire, where every argument only breeds more resentment. The Stoics used their composure as strength, and their silence as authority. A person with enough resilience not to react impulsively and to remain silent when needed is the one who makes others have to examine themselves. The story of the Buddha, who was publicly insulted by a man in a crowd, is a clear example. He remained seated without a single word of reply. When the man stopped, the Buddha asked, "If you bring a gift to another person and they don't accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The other person replied, "It belongs to me." The Buddha then said, "I do not accept the words you have spoken, so those words return to you." The majesty of calmness lies in the fact that it hurts no one, does not need to win or lose with words, yet it makes the world listen and the insulter bow their head. In today's society, where everyone is fighting to be right, the person who knows how to stay silent is the one who possesses true power, making the aggressor feel small in the face of their composure. The petty person wins with their mouth, but loses in their heart. A petty person often gains an advantage with their words. They can use words to manipulate, to dominate others, to create the illusion of righteousness and victory. But words can only silence people temporarily. They cannot win over hearts. And once you have lost in your heart, no matter how many arguments you win, the outcome is still failure. The ancients once said, "Reputation can be built with words, but respect only comes from virtue." The wise don't need to argue because they believe in the truth, in character, and in the power of time. A society today is full of verbal battles, on social media or in real life. There are people who win with their words, leaving others silent because they don't want to argue anymore. But in people's hearts, respect has been lost. Winning like that is not a victory, it's lowering yourself, so sooner or later, you will be buried by those very words. The wise understand that true value is not in temporary words, but in a long-term way of living. A single good word cannot build a lasting life. But a pure heart, an upright character, will make even those who hate you secretly respect you. And that is the greatest victory of all, a victory that insults cannot touch. Being petty diminishes your own worth. But life is full of back-and-forth words, scornful glances, and petty attitudes that sometimes make us feel like we're about to explode from bitterness. But the more you pay attention, the more you react to every small detail, the more you tire yourself out and diminish your own worth. Being petty is when we let other people's emotions control us, so that every piece of gossip becomes a rope that ties our feet. A wise person understands that a great soul is not thrown into disorder by trivial details, and does not lose its big-picture vision over small matters. The Roman Stoic Cato the Younger, known for his unbending principles, understood that forgiveness is the first step toward inner peace. But in today's society, many people live as if they are in an invisible web of judgment and scrutiny. Just one different action, one word that someone doesn't like, is immediately brought up for discussion and criticism. If we keep being petty about every word, every glance, every small attitude, our lives will be spent in exhaustion and suspicion. A person's value is not measured by the number of times they refute an insult, but by their ability to know when to let go, to keep their heart pure, and to focus on something greater. A magnanimous person is not unaware, they are simply great enough to see and let go. Because in the end, what allows us to go far is not winning petty arguments, but having enough inner strength not to be drawn into them. A calm mind and a peaceful heart make a person not easily hurt. A peaceful soul is the most solid armor against insults and hurt. When our mind is calm, bitter words and malicious rumors are just like wind passing over a lake, creating ripples for a moment before settling down on their own. People who are easily hurt are often those who place too much expectation on others, expecting validation and kindness in places where they may not exist. And when those expectations are betrayed, an insult becomes a knife that cuts deep into the heart. A wise person understands that true strength is not in forcing everyone to treat you well, but in the ability to keep your own heart at peace, even when the world outside is in turmoil. As the Stoics taught, when the mind is unshakable, the storms of life cannot wash you away. But life is inherently full of changes, and gossip has no end. But if we are strong enough inside, no storm can topple us. In today's society, where pressure and judgment exist everywhere, keeping a peaceful mind is the most precious gift we can give ourselves. That is how the wise person does not let insults control them, and does not let the outside world determine their inner worth. Everyone has the right to insult, but you have the right not to care. In this life, no one can control the words of others. Everyone has the right to say what they want. Everyone has their reasons to justify their insults, whether they are right or wrong. But you have the choice either to let them into your heart, where they become a burden, or to let them go and walk away more lightly. The ancients once advised, other people's words are like a passing breeze. Only those who hold on to them make themselves cold. What hurts you is not the insult itself, but the fact that you allow it to live on in your heart. But in modern society, Almost everyone lives under the spotlight of judgment, especially on social media, where malicious words can run rampant in just a few minutes. If you care about every single one, you will become exhausted and lose your freedom and joy in life. A wise person learns to filter what is worth taking to heart and what should be let go. They understand that not reacting is not a sign of weakness, but a sign that they are clear about what is worth caring about and what should just be released to the flow of time. As the Stoics believed, the strong do not need to win every battle, they only need to preserve their peace of mind. When you don't let insults control you, you are truly free. And that is the wisest way to turn the tables. Don't react, reflect instead. In this life, everyone has been insulted or hurt at least once by someone else's words or actions. That feeling is like an invisible knife plunged into your self-respect, making your heart constrict and your breath shorten. And instinct immediately urges us to react, to respond, to prove that we are not weak. But it is in that very moment that the difference between an ordinary person and a wise person is clearly revealed. An ordinary person acts on immediate emotions, but an experienced person knows that reacting is just instinct. Reflecting is the true resilience. Reflecting is the art of stopping and examining the situation before acting. When insulted, a wise person does not rush to get angry or respond, but quietly asks themselves, is what they said true? Is there something in me that needs to be adjusted? If so, this is an opportunity for self-improvement. If not, why should I allow myself to get caught up in useless anger? The Stoics were like water, soft but strong, quiet but persistent. It doesn't let insults pull you down, it uses them to rise. Imagine that every time you are insulted, a mirror is placed in front of you. In that mirror, we can see our weaknesses, our reactions, and even the unhealed wounds in our soul. A person who has never learned to reflect will let their hurt control their actions, repeating old mistakes on others, turning themselves into someone who brings more pain into the world. But a person who knows how to examine their inner self will gradually heal. They won't need a momentary victory with words. Instead, they will win the entire human journey with composure and wisdom. The story of the old donkey is a vivid testament to the power of reflection. It didn't scream or fight back when it was thrown into a well and had dirt poured over its head. It just quietly shook itself, using each layer of dirt that others threw down to step higher. Every blow that life gave it did not become a burden, but a step. That is the art of living for the wise, not to waste energy reacting to cruelty, but to use the very things that others intended to bury you with to rise. A wise person once wrote, "The one who knows how to defeat others is strong. The one who defeats themselves is resilient." Reflection is how we defeat ourselves, master our emotions, and turn insults into lessons for growth. The wise do not seek a momentary victory in an argument, but seek lasting tranquility and wisdom. They understand that reacting only makes us controlled by others, while reflecting helps us control ourselves. That is how to turn the tables, turning insults into strength, and pain into the foundation of wisdom. Being looked down on is a reminder to rise up. Not everyone is born with respect. Some people are looked down upon by others from the very beginning of their lives because of poverty, physical imperfections, or low social status. Contemptuous looks, whispers behind your back, opportunities snatched away simply because people don't believe you are worthy. All of it feels like a knife cutting into your self-respect, making you feel both pain and frustration. But the teachings of the Stoics remind us that contempt is not a life sentence. It is just a silent reminder that you need to rise up, so that others no longer have a reason to continue putting you down. A wise person does not waste time arguing with those who look down on them, because arguing will not change their minds. As Epictetus taught, we should not blame others but instead look inward. Once looked down on, instead of blaming fate or others, the wise person works quietly, turning contempt into motivation so that one day they stand in a higher, brighter place, causing those sarcastic words to fall silent on their own. Our ancestors taught that even a younger generation, though small, can rise up and overcome the shadows of those who came before. The wise do not accept living in a low place just because others have labeled them. They understand that true respect is never a gift to be given. It is something that must be earned with resilience and achievement. You may be looked down upon today, but if you persevere and train yourself, standing firm like a pine or a cypress tree in winter, one day, those very people who put you down will have to look up at you. Being looked down on is a deep pain, but it is also a fire that tests gold and forges your will. If your heart is strong enough, those contemptuous words will not kill you, but will transform you into someone who can never be looked down on again. A wise person knows to use silence to preserve their dignity, to use persistence to prove their worth, and to use success as their answer for every single taunt. Dirt cannot tarnish pure gold. But this life is not lacking in rumors, suspicious glances, and baseless judgments. Sometimes, even if we live a decent life, we are still misunderstood, slandered, and covered in the dust of gossip and malice. But that pain is not easy to bear. It makes us want to scream that we are innocent, to use all our strength to brush the dirt away. But the ancients taught that true gold, even if buried deep in the earth, is still gold. The essence of worth is not in what people say about us, but in how we live and steadfastly maintain the purity of our soul. When misunderstood, an immature person will panic and try to explain, justify, or even get angry to defend themselves. But an experienced person understands that time is the fairest judge. The falsehoods will fall away on their own, and the truth will eventually shine like pure gold under the sun. The Stoic, Seneca, said, "Virtue is not given, but acquired." Enduring injustice is a part of the human journey, a test of our resilience and character. A wise person does not waste energy wiping away every meaningless speck of dust. They quietly live with integrity and kindness, letting their actions and time cleanse away all injustices. Because true worth needs no defense, it shines on its own like a lamp in the dark. When you uphold kindness amidst gossip, you not only preserve your own peace of mind but also become an example for others, proving that nothing can tarnish true gold. Dirt can only dim the gold's light for a moment, but it cannot change its nature. The wise are the same, whether they are misunderstood or criticized, they do not let their soul become bitter or murky. They know that the most precious thing in this life is not the praise of others, but the clarity and peace within their own soul. The sun still shines, even if a dog barks. In the journey of life and work, when you dare to be different, to step outside the well-trodden path of the majority, there will surely be unpleasant words surrounding you. People are often afraid of what they don't understand and attack what they cannot do themselves. But remember, the sun shines brightly every day, regardless of how many dogs bark along the way. Noise cannot prevent light from spreading, just as attacks cannot dim your true worth. A wise person does not waste time arguing with noise. They understand that their value is not in the approval of others, but in the light they bring to this life. As the Stoic philosopher, Seneca, once said, "The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable." When you are steadfast on your chosen path, rumors are just like a passing breeze. They cannot shake you. The people who talk the most are often those who lack the strength to go far. They can't stand seeing you rise, because your light unintentionally reveals their own inadequacy. Responding only makes you waste energy, while remaining silent and moving forward is the sharpest and most powerful answer. But in reality, the closer you get to success, the more you have to learn to walk through the noise. Pioneers are always the ones who receive the most attacks, because they are walking a path that no one has taken before. But just as the sun doesn't need to argue to prove it shines, you don't need to justify yourself to affirm your self-worth. The strength of the wise lies in their actions and results, not in refuting or seeking the approval of the crowd. Jade fears no fire, a kind person fears no slander. Each person in their life must face slander, distorted stories, and unfair, suspicious looks at least once. That feeling is like having your honor smeared, making your heart clench and wanting to immediately speak up to clear your name. But the ancients taught that the more jade is polished, the brighter it shines. Fire does not diminish the value of jade, but only makes it shine more. A kind person is the same. Slander is just a test for their true character to be revealed. A wise person is not afraid of being misunderstood, because they know that true value does not come from other people's words, but from how they live every day. The Stoic, Cato the Younger, was known for his unwavering integrity in the face of political rumors and attacks. An upright person doesn't need many words, because time will be the fairest judge. Living with kindness is the most powerful answer to all false accusations. Injustice only exists for a moment, but true character will last a lifetime. The important thing is to keep your heart from being stained by the bitterness of others. When faced with slander, the wise person does not let their heart turn to hatred. They choose to remain kind, allowing time and their actions to prove everything. First, starving but clean, ragged but fragrant, is not just an old saying, but a golden rule for people who live with integrity. The more you go through trials, the clearer your inner light becomes, and the slander naturally vanishes in the face of your authenticity and persistence. Envy is a confession of inadequacy. Envy is an emotion that everyone has faced, sometimes coming from acquaintances, friends, or even family. When you achieve what others have not, when you have what they desire but haven't attained, instead of being happy for you, they use bitter words to put you down. But in reality, envy is a silent admission that you possess something they long for but cannot reach. It does not reflect your worth, but reveals the weakness and powerlessness within them. A wise person does not let envy hurt them, nor do they respond with hatred. They understand that their energy needs to be spent on going further, not wasted on meaningless arguments. The Stoics would say that a person with great ambition does not compete with the petty, for they know their focus is on virtue, not on the approval of others. When you focus on your own journey, envy becomes just a distant echo, powerless to stop your footsteps. The ancients once reminded us, people hate the talented and criticize the good because their own hearts are not bright enough to follow their example. Jealousy does not make anyone great, it only deepens the insecurity of those who carry it. The wise way to turn the tables is to keep your mind at peace, continue to strive, and continue to rise, so that your own worth shines, making all bitter words meaningless. Envy cannot make you smaller, only stopping your progress will make you lower yourself to the pettiness of others. The person who slanders you is telling the story of their own life. When someone intentionally slanders you, the first things that usually appear are feelings of indignation, hurt, and the desire to respond. But if you stop and look deeper, you will see a different truth. They are not really talking about you, they are exposing the dark corners of their own soul. A person who is mentally healthy and has a strong inner self will not need to nitpick and put others down to find a sense of security. Only souls full of hurt, insecurity, and envy use bitter words as a way to cover up their inner weakness. The Stoics taught that the wise person examines themselves, the petty person examines others. Gossip and criticism often reflect the inner world of the speaker more than the truth about the person being spoken of. When they intentionally put you down, that is when they are revealing their jealousy, their powerlessness, or their unhealed wounds from the past. If we let those words define us, it is no different than giving them the right to paint the portrait of our life with the colors they choose. People's words are like the wind, changing and hard to control. But our heart is like the earth, which can be steadfast and firm so as not to be shaken by those winds. When you understand this, you will feel less pain, less anger, and learn to keep your mind calm in the face of insults. Instead of reacting, remember that every piece of slander is just a painting they have made of themselves. Time will prove what is the truth and what is merely a projection from a petty soul. As the Stoic, Marcus Aurelius, once wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind." Slander is just dust, but your true worth still shines brightly when you don't let it cling to your mind. Silence is the refusal that leaves the insulter hollow. In many situations, when we are insulted, Instinct often urges us to react immediately to protect our self-respect. But experienced people understand that words are not always the wisest way to respond. Sometimes, silence at the right time and in the right way is the sharpest sword to protect one's dignity. A calm look, a step away without needing to justify yourself, has more power than 100 meaningless arguments. The Stoics taught that a wise person does not let a small fire burn down a large forest. When faced with an insult, if you respond, you are unintentionally stepping into the mud pit that the other person has already set up. Silence is not weakness. It is the resilience of someone strong enough to restrain their anger and not let their ego guide their actions. The Stoic, Seneca, once said, "He is most powerful who has power over himself." The silence of a wise person is an invisible shield that keeps their dignity intact against the cheap shots of others. The insulter often expects a reaction to feed their sense of victory. When they don't get it, they are like someone striking at an empty space, hollow and out of control. That is how to turn the tables, making the insulter understand that they do not have enough power to hurt you. That silence not only protects you from a meaningless fight but also makes your value more noble. Because a person with wisdom always knows how to choose a worthy battle to engage in. No one can drown you if you don't bow your head. In life, no one can avoid moments of being criticized, doubted, or even pushed down by prejudice and the malice of others. That pain is like being pulled to the bottom of the deep end. It's hard to breathe and feels like you can't surface. But the important thing is not what they do to you, but whether you let them keep you at the bottom forever. The true strength of a wise person is not in never failing, but in the ability to hold your head high even when you are oppressed. The ancients had a saying, "It's better to die standing than to live on your knees." This is not a call for stubbornness, but a reminder of humanity's supreme value, self-respect. You can lose money, lose fame, or even lose opportunities, but if you preserve your dignity, no one can make you feel small. A wise person understands that their value is not in the praise or criticism of others, but in their indomitable spirit, in the steadfastness of not letting anyone control their destiny. A person who can be pushed down but never gives up is a person who makes the malicious fear them. Because nothing hurts those who want to drown you more than seeing you still standing strong, still moving forward without needing to fight back. Epictetus taught that we should meet adversity with a firm resolve, a concept embodied by the Roman Stoic Cato the Younger, who resisted tyranny to the very end. That is the strength that helps you overcome all insults, to turn the tables not with arguments, not with hatred, but with pride and self-respect that no one can touch. Calmness is the declaration of a self-respecting person. In life, it's not hard to encounter moments where emotions flare up like fire, especially when we are insulted, misunderstood, or treated unfairly. But often, instinct makes us want to react immediately, to retaliate to protect our honor. But a wise person understands that calmness is the sharpest weapon, the silent declaration of a person who knows their own worth and doesn't need emotions to prove it. Calmness is not weakness or giving up. It is the manifestation of a person who is in control of themselves, not allowing others to control their mind and actions. The Stoics taught that the one who knows how to control their anger is truly strong. When insulted, a person lacking resilience will let anger sweep them away, their words and actions becoming uncontrolled, leading to regret later on. Conversely, a self-respecting person keeps their mind as still as calm water, so they can see the situation clearly and choose an appropriate response. Calmness helps us avoid falling into meaningless fights where people argue over who has the loudest voice and forget their true worth. It also helps us not to hurt others just because of a moment of anger, and most importantly, it protects our own dignity. But in the moment of an attack, calmness is like a guiding lamp, keeping us from getting lost in the labyrinth of emotions. It is a powerful declaration that, I know who I am, and no insult is strong enough to change that. A self-respecting person does not let a few taunting words make them lose their image. They know that the more you get angry, the easier it is to make a mistake. The more you try to win with words, the more you risk losing the necessary composure. Therefore, they choose to take a step back in their mind to advance further with their character and wisdom. Calmness is the most subtle way to turn the tables, making the insulter feel powerless because they cannot stir up your inner peace. When you hear something offensive, sigh and walk away. In life, no one can avoid words that make us uncomfortable, irrational judgments, or offensive remarks. People usually tend to react immediately, get angry, and argue back to prove they are right. But an experienced person understands that not every word is worth refuting, and not every argument needs to be joined. The wisest way is sometimes just a sigh and a walk away. The composure in the face of offensive things is not submissiveness. It is the wisdom of someone who knows what is worth caring about. The Stoics taught that we should not waste our time on things that are not within our control. Many slanderous words are, in fact, just a reflection of the speaker's own disordered inner world. They are a projection of their own prejudices and insecurities onto others. If we let those words drag us into a vortex of arguments, it's like hurting our own foot on a small rock on a long road. Sighing and walking away is not because we don't know how to respond, but because we know what's worth keeping our mind at peace. Not everything we hear needs to be believed, and it certainly doesn't need a reaction. Our grandparents had a saying, "Hear with the left ear, and let it go out the right." That saying not only teaches us how to ignore useless things but also how to protect the peace in our hearts. A sigh and a walk away is sometimes the most powerful answer, because it shows that we don't let offensive words disrupt our lives. The wise know that if you keep stopping to argue with all the noise, you will never reach your destination. Only when you know how to let go of what is unworthy and keep your soul light can you go far, go high, and live a life of ease. Too busy with success to argue. In useless arguments, people often try to win with words. But a wise person understands that true victory does not come from winning an argument, but from actions and results. A person who is busy building success will not waste time debating over trivial things, because they know that every minute spent arguing is a minute lost that could have been used to move forward. The wise do not care about proving themselves to the world's gossips. They focus all their energy on producing results, so that their success itself becomes the clearest and most powerful answer. The Stoics taught that a skilled person does not contend, because they do not contend. No one in the world can contend with them. The wise person's way of turning the tables is not through sharp words, but through steadfast silence, letting time and achievements speak for themselves. The ancients had a saying, "The wise mind their own business." The further they go, the more they understand that petty arguments bring no value. They only drain intellectual and spiritual energy. Success is the one thing no one can refute. It is the most solid defense against all judgments. When you step up to a higher rung, the insults and attacks automatically fall behind, losing all their weight and significance to you. The wise know that the best revenge is not a fierce reply, but a life that is worthy of admiration. Too busy building their own value, they no longer have time to argue with pettiness. And that is how to turn the tables in a way that is both intelligent and full of character. The wise don't snap back, they rise up. In a society that is increasingly vulnerable to the words of others, many people just need to be slightly provoked to immediately snap back and argue to protect their fragile ego. They believe that retaliating is a way to prove they are not weak. But in reality, a strong reaction in the heat of the moment is sometimes just a sign of a soul that is not yet resilient enough. A wise person does not hastily snap back. They use their energy to rise up, not in a moment of hot-headedness, but throughout their entire journey of growth and proving their worth through actions. When insulted or put down, the wise person does not immediately try to win, because they understand that words cannot change the truth. Instead of arguing, they quietly and persistently work, tirelessly building their true worth step by step. But at a certain point, their very success and solid character will be the most powerful answer, and it will make those who once tried to put them down have to look up at them with bowed heads. The Stoics taught that a gentleman is not concerned that others do not know him, but is only concerned that he lacks the talent and virtue. The important thing is not to make everyone acknowledge you immediately, but to train yourself so that one day, no one will dare to deny you. True strength is not in snapping back in a fit of anger, but in the ability to be patient, to overcome hardships, and to rise up brilliantly. Fire tests gold, hardship tests strength, and quiet persistence is the foundation of a lasting victory. When you have risen up through your own worth, the insults from those days will become meaningless. And the person who once hurt you will feel ashamed of their own pettiness in the face of the light you radiate. Everyone has a mouth, but no one has the right to humiliate another. Freedom of speech is the right of every person, but no one is granted the right to use words to insult or hurt others. Everyone has a mouth, yes, but not everyone is mature and kind enough to use it decently. In life, how many times have you been deeply hurt by words that were either accidental or intentional? Words like knives that make your heart ache. That is the dark side of free speech, when it lacks responsibility and compassion. The Stoic, Seneca, taught us that a kind word can save a person from the abyss, while a malicious word can push them into despair. A wise person never uses their tongue to trample on others, because they understand that true character is not in the ability to speak well, but in a respectful heart and in knowing how to maintain boundaries in your interactions with others. Everyone has the right to speak, but that right does not give them permission to humiliate others. A self-respecting person knows how to use words to uplift and heal, not to create more wounds. When faced with those who use their tongue to hurt others, the wise person does not need to respond with bitterness, but uses their way of life to prove what true maturity and character are. It is persistent kindness that is the noblest answer to cheap humiliation.